Okay, time to wrap it all up here. This last video. This is going to be about what we should all do, and then I'll kind of work my way into specifically what I'm doing. Again, this is just my opinion about what's going on, particularly about the 10% of the people that are kind of in our face and going to be in our face the rest of our life. I think they're kind of trying to treat us like the proverbial frog, where you put a frog in the hot boiling water directly, you'll hop out, but if you slowly turn up the heat, they'll boil them, and make sure they don't boil you. Do what I can to make sure they don't boil me. The 10% of the, or less, of the people who like this king of the hill power stuff got a lot of names, and I think the reason, I heard this from somewhere a long time ago, that they got all these names because when the public figures out who they are, they throw them out, so they gotta change their name and try to sell it in a different way. But they're called progressives, liberals, communists, socialists, Marxists, fascists, statists, collectivists, environmentalists, Bolsheviks, maybe even Keynesians, redistributionists, totalitarians. They got all these names. It's all the same. Big government. Just thoughts. All you gotta remember. Some of their work, I had a list about 10 years ago or so, 15 years ago, of what I call federal grievances or problems. Things that the public should know about and should be the federal government should be dealing with the public on. For example, auditing Fort Knox, auditing the Federal Reserve, securing the border. The list is now, like I say, 10 or 15 years old. They've done none of it. And in fact, I just slowly keep adding to the list, so it's getting kind of bad out there. I think you can kind of forget the Republican-Democrat dichotomy, because you can go maybe slower with one or faster than the other, but they're all going in the same wrong direction. And actually what I'm giving you here is a positive message. If we can throttle back the size of the federal government, things kind of grow and get going better, and more people have jobs and things go better. So it's a positive thing, but we just got to do our homework to make this happen. My understanding is that's what Coolidge did in around 1920, and it kind of brought in the Roaring '20s. He just really cut way back on what the federal government was doing. So we've got one department that apparently is the Consumer Affairs Department, directly funded by the Federal Reserve, which has nothing to do with Congress or the President even anymore. That's bad. All money spending by the federal government has to stay under control of the people that we vote in, so keep your eye on that one. I want to talk about government circles for a minute, or circles. The original 13 colonies, if you draw them, sketch here, 13 colonies, and the federal government was just one more little circle like that. And the federal government has authority for overseas and for gluing the states, but not, as I said, for the land we're on. But now if you draw 50 states like I have here, and I ask people, okay, well, draw the federal government on this, everybody says, your paper ain't big enough. So that's kind of the problem I keep talking about. Here's something you need to be careful of, which has happened in history, that it's a trap people get into, but students, like on this stupid Common Core, are told, you got to have all this data taken on you and stuff, and take all these tests and stuff because your teacher says so. Well, the teacher's saying to do it because the principal tells them to do it, and they'll maybe lose their job. Well, the principal's doing it because the board of directors says to do it, or Board of Education, and the Board of Education is doing it because the state says it, and now the state's doing it because the federal government is saying, well, that's the only way you got money. So, but if it's kind of rotten at the top, nobody along the way is willing to stop and say, hey, this is just flat out wrong. So that's a trap we need to take a good look at and fix the structure at the top if that's what's wrong. Quick comment about the Second Amendment. It seems to be going okay at the moment, but it's not enough. We don't want just an armed populace against a out of control federal government. That's not good. We got to keep the states in there. I have a sign about that here. It says Second Amendment protects us from tyrants. So That's one of my signs. You can make up signs, you can make up bumper stickers. We'll talk about that here when I wrap up. Again, what we're trying to do here is just wake up the public, that's it. They're watching TV shows and football games and stuff. Wake them up to this stuff. Another quick comment. Let's say, okay, pretend you were voted in as a representative to DC, and you were told, well, all you got to do is vote on this 1,000-page bill, which references a bunch of other bills and stuff, and you get, you know, like $2 million to pass around your district. And by the way, maybe another, you know, bunch of money for your own self, or somehow or other. You know, you gotta scratch your head and think, what would you do? You know, would you really do what's best for the country and for the good of the people, or would you sort of like take the money and run and convince yourself, well, yeah, but if I take the money, I can stay in and do good things and stuff. So it's a tricky question, and that's why I made up this bumper sticker: Federal Reserve creates dollars and you dance, because that's the big picture with the Federal Reserve and the federal government. That's kind of what's going on. I was told all my life you shouldn't talk about politics or religion, and I've decided now that's just garbage. That was probably put out there as a saying by the king of the hill people so that we wouldn't think about it, because they know they're way, way, way outnumbered, and like I said, that's just garbage. So you do need to talk about politics and think about politics. One way to implement what I'm trying to do with the 16th, getting rid of the 16th, 17th, and probably the Federal Reserve, is the Article 5 Convention of the States. So you could study up on that. I think what we want to do is restore power or sovereignty to the way it was originally set up in the Constitution, which I kind of view as 1/3 federal, 1/3 state, and 1/3 individual. So if we do that, we'll be in good shape. But we certainly don't want the president as king or a ruler or a dictator. That's exactly the wrong way to go. So we need to keep the power spread up. Let me just give you a quick run through of the 18th Amendment for a second. That brought the prohibition on alcohol, where people couldn't have alcohol, and that brought in these gangs in Chicago, famous Al Capone and stuff. And you have this picture where these old long cars from the 1930s, one of the gangsters roll down the window, bring out a submachine gun, you know, for a turf king of the hill, for their control of their area and stuff. And it got so much that the people got fed up with it, and they finally did the 21st Amendment, which repealed the 18th and brought it where we can have alcohol now. And I think we as a public need to get the resolve of the people of the 21st Amendment, and we need to just keep right on going. That's kind of what I'm doing. A couple of quick other comments about what the federal government is doing. The states want to fix the border, and and they're even writing legislation which mimics the federal legislation, and yet the federal government won't do it. They won't let the states do it, and if the states do, they sue them. I mean, that's just goofy. And also on the health care bill, 26 states sued on that right after it was passed, so that because it was hurting them. So the states didn't like it, but the states kind of are being left out of the equation. And I got a bumper sticker by that. It says, save the 10th Amendment by repealing the 17th. So we need to put that chair back at the table that the states originally had, and kind of clip some of this power that the federal government has. Even more and more, I think the federal government's trying to get its grips on the internet, and that become a more dark place as far as all the spying going on and stuff. So it's just creeping in every direction. Yeah, everyone needs to have someone overseeing them, and that's why I'm a big proponent of repealing the 17th Amendment and let the states oversee them, and we sure don't want the states to disappear. So my chant for conservatives and everybody really is 16th, 17th, Federal Reserve. Stop them now, they hit a raw nerve. So I don't think we want to necessarily even live in a place where you know what they're creating and the way we're headed. So alright, specifically, what am I doing and what can you do? again, if it's a very, you should do something, because like I say, if we create dollars, a copy machine, we go to jail. They're creating, you know, hundreds of billions, trillions, and now, and they're, I guess the derivatives add up to over $2 quadrillion. I mean, it's just, so it is serious. It's a serious question. We all need to study. We should maybe make our bumper stickers like I've been showing you. Here's another one we didn't really talk about, but repeal the 16th Amendment and go to the fair tax. That should just be another line item when we go shopping somewhere. All this junk about April 15th is goofy. And like I have the big signs here, I got another one about U.S. notes. This was our money for 100 years. U.S. notes, money that worked for 100 years. It was set by the Congress, and President. And I think you need to get off your duff from the couch and get out on the street corner somewhere where cars stop a lot, and have a little time to read your signs and get back on your duff there. It's not hard work. Get a decent day and just go watch your signs and stuff. So also, you can call your state reps and talk to them, or go to meetings with them. You can call your federal representatives and go to meetings with them if and when you can. As far as I'm concerned, you can promote this video or make your own, and I'm not even, you know, this is all common stuff, so it's not proprietary from my point of view. So promoted this, I want to get the result. I'm not concerned how we get there. And finally, I just want to summarize, by the more we go down this path we're going on, the more we're just not going to want to play the game that's being played. So I guess I'll wrap it up and say happy protesting. Thanks for